Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Cox. I'm a member of the Netcapital team. Let's allow one moment for everybody to settle in. Thanks. Oh, my mouse is mad at me. Hold on a second, sorry. I literally think my battery's trying to die on me, but it's okay. Okay, welcome again. Today I'm excited to welcome Hanss Koch with MyXR. As always, this company is actively raising on the Netcapital platform. I will add a link to the chat, but of course you can go to netcapital.com and search MYXR, or go to netcapital.com/companies/MYXR. A few housekeeping items. Please do use the Q&A functionality. We would love to keep this as interactive as possible. I know there's a chat feature, but Q&A is far easier for me to track all the questions. We want to get to as many of them as possible. So please do use Q&A. With all that being said, please help me in welcoming MyXR. Hanss, why don't you come on in here and tell us a little bit about what you're working on?
Fantastic. Hey, nice to meet you. Nice to meet everybody. Eric, thanks for having us here. Super excited about being here. Super excited about the company. My background is building companies from the ground up and taking it to scale, exiting, and creating this value. So this isn't my first rodeo, which is exciting because this sort of captures all the rodeos that I've done in the past. MyXR is really changing how augmented reality is perceived, and the scale of which is pretty empowering. It's a 3-year-old company that has done proof of concept, built revenue, and now has major products all coming out this year. MyXR Engage 2.0 is a gamification reward platform, which is in multiple different versions for verticals with customers. We're ready to go. MyXR T1TX is a syndication for AR platform, because we know that this is a time where there's going to be incredible advancements in augmented reality. So we want to capture all that talent around the world, bring that together and syndicate it out on the platforms that people love. So it's a white label platform, multi-use, multi-directional, powerful revenue generator. And it's great to have all the current investors already in the Netcapital campaign.
I love it. Thanks, Hanss. And I love the energy that you're bringing to the conversation here. I mean, obviously you're super pumped about the company. Tell us why.
Well, we start with like understanding the user first. So we didn't just build software and said people are going to love it. What it's important is when we start with partners that want to see their customers engaged, empowered, and things like that, we can deliver on that. So you get this excitement from our customers, our corporations, our organizations, our nonprofits. Then when you start seeing that sort of response play out into the markets, and this morning we got a term sheet, for a $1.5 million direct investment to go alongside Netcapital, that we love seeing that investors are starting to see this energy globally and how this application can really be powerful in the market.
Oh, that's fantastic. Congratulations about that. I know we started talking about that yesterday, and I'm glad that you're able to mention that today. Very exciting traction on your side. So remind me, so you took over control of the company in March of 2020. Is that right?
Yes. So I've been involved with the company since the beginning, but it was in March of 2020 when the existing investors basically said, Hanss, we want you to take over. We want you to have control. You've got the vision, you have the connections, you have the relationships on the technology and the distribution side. We want you to take over. So it was exciting because it was a chance for us to really make our vision that we started laying out in 2018 a reality. And that's why we're seeing that today.
No, that's beautiful. And before we get into kind of the progress since then, tell us, how do the MyXR platforms benefit its customers and its users? What is the value add there?
Well, I think the biggest thing is especially you talk about this, the COVID world that we live in, where everybody is distracted. Everybody is also tied to a digital platform of one way or another. Even before then, we saw that there was a need to engage people within certain communities. We don't need another social platform. We're not a social platform. We fit into ecosystems that people already love, brands that people already love, resources that people love, organizations that they already like, and we're just making it better. So for our customers, they really are getting like this huge upswing in terms of engagement by their existing users, getting more people on board. So you talk about a foundation, that wants to spread the word about what they're doing. All of a sudden now their foundation members are using our software to then get more people involved. So it becomes this thing that feeds on itself. So the gamification, the engagement, the entertainment value, it all becomes something that works together. So it makes somebody's a corporation or nonprofit's digital experience really powerful.
No, absolutely. And so for those who haven't been able to go to the page yet and actually click through the offering and see what that engagement looks like, can you give us an idea or an example of how that feels from the user experience standpoint?
Well, so there's, it depends on sort of the use case. So if we think about, we're working with a partner in Southern California and actually in other communities as well for engaging kids who are doing distant learning. So Engage 2.0 is being used to accelerate that homework completion, to involve the community, to support the kids who are going to school. We're going to be deploying that this year, and it becomes this thing where it's a very simple process of gamifying that very real experience to get a incredible response in terms of what is the impact of having a kid who doesn't have necessarily the resources at home or the teacher availability to get that direct learning. How do we bridge that to make a powerful change in the young person's mind and do that really right from the side of being entertaining and engaging and powerful right off the bat?
Yeah, no, that's a great example and super salient right now as we deal with this distance learning. I'll circle back to hear more implications that COVID has had on the company. But before we do that, for those who are unfamiliar, how big is the market for something like this? How big is the market for your platform?
Well, what's interesting is because it is a multi-layered serpent of exciting software. We look at it as more than $1 trillion in terms of market size that we're going after, because you layer on, we're not just augmented reality. We're not just gamification rewards. We're into hospitality, education, sports marketing. You literally stack up these markets, whatever, and we could go on and, it's probably much bigger than $1 trillion, but we think $1 trillion is like a good market size. If we take just a portion of that and the little layers within each one that make all of this come together because they're all tied, that makes it an incredible market opportunity for the company.
Certainly. And in terms of the business model, how does MyXR and its platforms make money?
So there's two primary ways right now. It's subscription revenue on each of the platforms, and then reward revenue. So you have two platforms, Engage and the Experience platform, which is our T1 TX syndication platform. Both of those are subscription to whoever the partner is. But because each one incorporates content from the outside, that syndicated content also becomes a revenue source. So that's our current revenue model. Now, with our new investment, we will have additional products and revenue opportunities that they are bringing to the table as well. So it's even more exciting. So we'll see more revenue coming this year and in following years, because we'll have different platforms that are going to be using what we create, the MyXR technology, to bring new revenue streams in.
That's great. And so, less than a year since the team asked you to really take over the reins, and you obviously bought the company, you've signed some major deals, you've gotten some pretty significant revenue and brought in amazing investors. Tell us about some of that, what that journey looked like in terms of progress, and then we'll talk about what you think are the next milestones.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I did the homework before I took over. So I didn't go into it without knowing that we had already an incredible pipeline of partners and people that wanted to work with the technology, that wanted to see the company be successful. So I walked into it with okay, this is how we're going to go forward. We're all in this together. And that's where, we started off. I think one of the biggest things was when I took over, we immediately signed like a company like Kiwi Tech to the company to really take over on a key part of technology, where it was technology that we bought in 2018, but it had to be upgraded. It had to be special. So now all of a sudden we've got a corporate partner who's also an investor, who's, leaning in on making that product go. So I think it's a combination of having the table set before taking over, but then also being able to execute with partners like Kiwi Tech, with new, design studios like Thea Interactive, who can create amazing CGI content on our T1 and TX platform, having other partnerships, distribution, et cetera, all coming together. This is sort of the time when we're super excited, because we know how to make money. We just had to have the right partners and the right chemistry to make it all flow together. And we're at that place right now.
That's critically important. And I know you also expanded the operation and the revenue pipeline during that timeline, all on a relatively small budget. So before we go into more of the major milestones in the future, I want to get some of these questions coming in. So, So what are the primary platforms that you will be operating on if you look out 1 year, and what will be the main use cases be? Good question.
So in the first year, so in 2021, we're going to see the major expansion of MyXR Engage. So that is a gamification reward platform. That's going to be the one that's going to be driving much of the revenue in 2021 and scaling fast. Like, we have hundreds of millions of users that are on the pre-order. When I say hundreds of million users, we're working with companies that they have access to that group and they want to use our software to reach them. Want to be super clear on that we're not doing, hand-to-hand marketing and spending marketing dollars to reach those people. We're working with partners to do that. MyXR Engage is going to be the big one of 2021. We'll introduce MyXR T1 TX in the summer of 21, and that will then start taking over and being a bigger part of the revenue stream in 2022.
Just to be super clear, we talked about the gamification rewards through Engage.
That's correct.
Can you remind the people of what T1 TX what that platform does? Excuse me.
The T1 and TX platform is augmented reality first, but it's a syndicated augmented reality platform with multiple channels that are then distributed to various partners globally. So partners will be able to pull up different AR channels on their, the user will be able to pull it up on partner apps.
Yeah, so integrating that AR with your partners that you're already working with to get into those 100 million eyeballs. Looking out a little further from the first year, that was a really good question. What are even further out milestones look like for the MyXR family?
Given where we are in terms of revenue pipeline, where we're looking at in terms of margin, where we're looking at in terms of impact, we actually look at sort of this first exit window being 12 to 18 months. Looking to 2022 as being a really important year that we want to hit all of our metrics this year and scale. And we think that where we're going to be, that's sort of the window where we're going to be scaling quickly, doing better, and more product integration between the parties so that you have a seamless sales experience. All of our deals are long-term, so we don't do short-term deals. We do long-term commitments, and those become subscriptions and recurring revenue that we can count on.
Absolutely. And you started talking a little bit about potential exits and exit strategy. Can we dig a little deeper into that?
Well, if Netcapital winds up getting in the IPO business, we'll be, doing that. But in all seriousness, this is, the rise of crowdfunding, and folks like Netcapital are an incredible pathway towards, and allowed us to start putting us in a position of compliance and predictable revenue and things like that lead up to an IPO. So we look at IPO as being probably one of the most likely things, or one of the other instruments that's becoming, more available today. But I think it's going to be an interesting period in this sort of 12 to 18 month period, what that looks like and what the market will bear. But our goal is to return an incredible investment for our investors and partners, and deliver the best product we can. And that's really, those two things drive everything that we do.
Yeah, absolutely. And sorry about that. And I know there's obviously a real community focus on the whole MyXR team. And I know that's a really important piece of why you formed the MyXR Foundation. Can you tell the people listening a little bit more about that foundation?
So one of the things that we always, there's some great corporate philanthropy, folks out there, and we feel like we're going to be lucky enough to model some of the things that we do after them. The MyXR Foundation, we announced that just a little bit ago, a couple of weeks ago. We're going to donate 5% of our profits starting this year in 2021 to providing access to software and resources for communities that don't have those resources available. And we're working with partners like Think Watts and Watts on the other side, influencers like, Sticks from Watts, who's doing so much in the community there. And how do we bring technology to empower groups and elevate groups to be better on their own, to inspire? So we look at it's our duty, and we want to make a bold commitment back to the community to do it, not just here at home, but wherever they are.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I know here at home is a couple of places for you, since you're a jet setter, world traveler. But here at home, I think generally you're talking about California, LA, the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And then obviously I know you're a Michigan man, so go blue. And so obviously the team. So let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about some of the rest of the components that make up that team.
So the team is really important to me. Bo Schembechler, for any football fan, Bo Schembechler was a driving force and ingrained it in all our heads that it's all about the team. I'm blessed with an incredible team today. The corporate partners, add a ton of value, but then you start bringing in people like Pete Stremese, who's been with us. He's an investor. He's part of the team. He's literally built, global satellite systems, and, is really that North Star for us in terms of, I can say anything, but he's the one that actually knows how to execute. So, it's nice to have that president that really knows how to build that operation. We're lucky enough to have Brian Saul, who is somebody that we met through when he was with the Dolphins a couple of years ago. He's now joining as VP of Partnerships. We have an incredible marketing team. We have a team in Nashville, DC, LA, New York, New Delhi. We're really excited about all the energy that everybody's bringing, and all of our current investors are part of our team. So we have angel investors that have been a part of this company since the beginning. They're a part of this as well. So we have this incredible energy by both the staff, the partners, and the investors.
I love the way you brought that all the way full circle, and I'd love to, if you could dig a little bit deeper into the kind of the investor support, and then I'd love to wrap it up with the technology partners and dig deeper into that as well.
Yeah.
Who are some of these investor partners that are part of the team now?
Well, we don't.
Yeah, that you can share.
I don't.
Yeah,
we I think the key is they're all CEOs, entrepreneurs, doctors. They have seen, in a lot of cases, they didn't know anything about augmented reality when they invested, but they knew that there was a use case for their business. And I think there's an interesting thing here where people, when they all of a sudden realize, oh, now I see how it could affect me, all of a sudden it becomes more real, and you start thinking about 100 different companies or partners that maybe it's like, so it's been interesting. Now, we announced, in 2018, when several of these people joined, we were announcing a 6-year deal with the San Francisco 49ers. All of a sudden, everybody was like, okay, well, we want to go to a football game. But it was beyond that. So we have lots of different partnerships created by investors, men, women that are really powerful in their own respect and in their own industries that are bringing things to the table.
I want to come back to the 49ers partnership. Before that, you mentioned doctors being on board. And I know I got the pleasure of being Dr. Nagel that you introduced us to. Why don't you tell a little bit about his background and how he got involved? And then let's go into the 49ers experience and the technology partners. So tell us a little bit about Dr. Nagel.
Okay, so Dr. Nagel joined the board last year. He was part of when I took over, I wanted to have somebody that had been a part. He had originally invested in 2018, and over the course of the year, over the 2 years before he joined the board, had literally watched us rebuild this company and shake it up so that it could be successful, because you can't go forward unless it has all this energy. So when he joined, and he saw a use for his own practice, he's a world-renowned hand surgeon, and I feel lucky to be in his presence. But he's an incredible add to the board because he understands not only the perspective of where we came from, talking about the past technology, and the partnership with the 49ers. He's also been literally on the ground, seeing us build this new technology and this new pipeline, literally from zero.
Yeah. And I know Dr. Nagel has his roots in Chicago and worked with the Cubs as a hand surgeon. So
Yes.
Really cool, exciting things there. Staying on the theme of sports here, though, tell us about that 49ers partnership and what that looked like. I know it was earlier on, but I'd love to learn more.
So going back to long-term relationships, this was something that we set out with the 49ers to create a platform. We were really focused on augmented reality only at that point. We had just bought the technology behind MyXR Engage, but we set up a 6-year deal, and it was the first of its kind. We, in full honesty, we didn't execute perfectly. It was a new type of technology for them. There were things that we could have all done better, and we all made a commitment to improve it. So we had our proof of concept in 2018 with them. And now it's exciting because we're going to be working with all sorts of sports teams across sports and integrating players. And everything comes to the right time, and sort of that awareness in terms of what do you do right and what do you do wrong, and knowing how to fix them. So I think our biggest experience from the 49ers was we knew we had something here. They knew it. And we worked together to pause it so that we could build the right team around what needed to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I really always respect about you, Hanss, is being, kind of straightforward and transparent about that, the pros and the cons. That's what you're going to get with Hanss. So I do appreciate that. Getting close to about halfway through our scheduled programming here. So I do want to remind everybody that there's a link that I added to chat that takes you back to Netcapital. Of course, you can learn more, invest, ask questions there. We're going to continue to get these questions. I see them coming in now. But I do want to remind everybody, of course, you can go to netcapital.com and search MyXR, or go to netcapital.com/companies/MyXR. So before I go back to the technology partners, which I mentioned before, let me get this question here. So can you talk about the competition? Where is it coming from? What are the differentiating factors? So competitive landscape, good question.
Everywhere. There's competition in everything that we do. In a lot of ways, we embrace the competition as a potential partner. So there are companies that are doing very specific technologies to do a very specific purpose. Whether it be like in the early days, it was super exciting to work with a company that did face painting. Well, that's not as exciting as where the technology is today. What's amazing is for us is we are ahead of the game in terms of our distribution partnerships. We're ahead of the game in terms of the types of relationships that we have. So we're bringing in our competition, those people who are creating amazing AR content and bringing them in as publishers to be syndicated on our platforms, to work with our partners, that we actually, the ecosystem, the fact of bringing in AI, bringing in AR, bringing in all these engagement pieces, our platforms allow for us to work with our competition and bring them to make us better and them better.
No, I think that's a really good segue back to the technology partners, because I think when I think about your differentiators and your kind of defensibility, one of the big pieces to your competitive advantage are these partnerships. So you mentioned Kiwi Tech. Can you dig deeper into Kiwi Tech, Wikitube, Braintree? Can you tell us about Thea? Let's hear about all those partners.
Well, Kiwi Tech is fun because, I mean, they literally are an investor partner. Joined in this journey when I took over right off the bat, audited our software, dove right in and started evaluating, started looking at how to scale this and how to bring this to market in the most effective way. They have over 400 different companies that they work with. So it's an impressive platform that they have, and their team has been not only understanding our global vision, but they get our energy and our excitement. So that's a really powerful technology plus relationship. Braintree is a great example of a partner where because our environments are going to be more in transactional processing over the coming months, we wanted to have a partner that could allow and literally be a leader in terms of digital processing of payments of in-app purchases. So imagine if you're in the middle of an augmented reality platform and your credit card processor isn't working. We wanted to have somebody that's able to close that transaction and familiar with customers, because they provide the back end to all sorts of other existing apps that we all use, and powerful platform they are. So those are just two of the things, but we're working with new technology partners, both in terms of rendering, distribution. Ericsson is a partnership that we are working on in terms of we're friendly. But what's exciting about this is, like, we want to have partnerships with, it's not just about the software side, but it's also in terms of the connection. We have a product called MyXR Portal, which allows you to have a 360 and you can walk right into a 360 environment. Well, as 5G grows, those partners are going to want to be on the table so that we can make sure that that connection is solid from the time that somebody picks up the phone to use the portal on one end to the other.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you talked about Thea and kind of you moved past it. And I know they've done a lot of award-winning projects, including stuff for Epic Games. Can we spend just a little bit more time on that relationship and how you see that partnership really growing over time?
So Thea their team is, they understand the movie studio quality aspect of content, the digital content. That's critical. So because we know that our audience is going to be a wide range, there's going to be lo-fi and hi-fi. And Thea understands the hi-fi aspect. They've been working with all the top technology platforms to do CGI render things. They're ex-LucasArts. They've been working with Epic Games forever. They know how to do, military training in VR. They're literally one of those groups that just gets how do you get into a digital experience and make it feel like it's your own. That sort of power on our platform is exceptional because we can take both real, because it's augmented reality, we can take real and CGI rendered elements and bring something super special for our partners to be distributed on that. So creating this bench strength of our partners like Thea, Kiwi Tech, all these different, we can bring in and literally match up with any we'll call it opponent or competition, whatever. It's better to be on our team than it is to be against us, because we're like literally stacking up a team, from top to bottom.
Perfect. Thanks for digging into that. And so that's the technology partnerships, critically important. That tech has been audited, all that. You also have these banking and legal relationships as well. Obviously, you're a Cooley client. Can we talk a little bit about the kind of intellectual property strategy and where you are in the IP process?
Yep. So our technology, there are a couple of things that we started the IP process in 2018 when we bought the CoinIn technology. So we actually bought CoinIn and their IP related to this gamification reward platform. All of that came over to the MyXR side. We've been working on trademarks, potential patents for some of the things that we've been doing. We're in process. One of the things that we really want to do is focus and have build up our IP presence over the next few months to years. So our roadmap is actually to accelerate that process as we are ready and we found the use cases that we have ready to deploy.
Yeah. You want to protect the things that are worth protecting. So I totally appreciate that approach. And then we talked about the revenue model, software as a service, platform as a service. Can you talk a little bit about how the multiple revenue streams, what the breakdown is right now, and how you project those revenue streams to change over time based off a platform?
Well, I think sort of the easiest way to think about it is subscription revenue for those platforms paid by corporate customers represent about 80% of the total pie in 2021. That's going to shift. And then you have these other little slices of revenue that come in a la carte services like the portal. What I think is going to be really interesting is how what we're modeling right now is sort of that 2022, end of 21, beginning of 22 breakdown in terms of revenue, because all of a sudden it's going to be like a flower that opens up. Our revenue streams, every time we deploy, all of a sudden open up into an entirely new fold. So if you think of every sports team that we partnership with, you have a subscription, but then every one of those partners that's in that ecosystem is now coming onto the platform. And that leads to the next thing. So we look at things conservatively and we map out our revenue conservatively. We know that's not the case. This is why we get excited about going public, because we know that the network effect of the revenue is also tied to the very case that we are doing subscriptions that give us predictable revenue, and then we open up an entirely new revenue stream beyond that.
Mm-hmm. The a la carte pieces. Yep. So I imagine people probably ask you, so it sounds like, each of these products, platforms, almost feel like they could stand alone. But I want you to tell the attendees, why do you think it's so important for the gamification and rewards to really be part of the same company that's also running the augmented reality? And where do you see those overlapping, excuse me?
One is to understand the power of the MyXR Engage product. So that technology was in development for almost a decade. It was in 400 apps. It is powerful in terms of gamifying and rewarding. Our ability to scale is on the database. It's on the platform. So these two products are basically, the T1TX platform is right brain, left brain combined into one. What we're trying to do is, and the technology that we're integrating this year is actually building MyXR Engage, which is robust gamification reward, database driven, scalable, put it anywhere, make it happen, white label, it's all everything. All of a sudden, it's now going to have this right brain element to it that is going to be powerful, multi-channel entertainment, engaging. And when you gamify and you create this reward platform on something like augmented reality, not in a I'm finding an Easter egg kind of thing, but how am I engaging with the experience? All of a sudden, you have anywhere between 5 and 8, 10 minutes of engagement within a certain experience, which is incredibly powerful from a brand standpoint, from an education standpoint, from a retention standpoint. And so the gamification elevates the augmented reality, creates that sense of urgency, and it creates this super powerful tool for our partners and, frankly, fun for everybody that's using it. We like doing things that make people smile, whether it's investors or people using it. So we're not doing it right unless we can get people to smile.
Yeah, and it really sounds like a good time. And so, can you share with the attendees and anybody watching this after it's recorded, what is kind of a simple example of like what those 8 minutes might look like from the gamification plus the augmented reality component? Like, what does that feel? What is an example so we can really kind of make people feel it, even though they can't feel it right now?
Well, I'm going to give credit to all of our designers and others, because I can say anything. They're the ones that actually execute on this. Literally the options are infinite. But if you were to imagine going into, let's say you're following this player, and this player loves fashion. I'm only saying this because we're working with a player, an NFL player that loves fashion. Well, what if you could now go into his closet and start selecting things, and all of a sudden you were rewarded if you go visit his closet today, you might be able to find something else that you really want. It could be a discount. It could be literally a free item. When you tie things together where it is either both retail oriented or purpose. So if you think about sort of also the augmented reality aspect and tying gamification, you think about that from a school thing. If you wanted to teach somebody, the history of what name anything, the history of space, and you took somebody through, some of those early meetings in terms of how they were going to get to the moon, and you gamified that experience, you could spend 8 minutes and create this gamification loop that they got a reward. So we knew at the end of that 8 minutes, they learned everything about what happened in terms of getting to space.
I think that was exactly what I was looking for. And I think, so when you just to be clear, when you talk about you follow some player, you're talking about Instagram or traditional social media, you're already interested in some influencer, and then you get to dig deeper through the gamification and rewards and virtual reality. Am I thinking about that right?
Yeah. I mean, I think for social accounts do their thing, and that's great. But to learn more, to get involved, to actually do things, that's the part that's gamification. That's where it becomes relevant. Like if anybody saw the video, it's like on the Netcapital site, we talk about how you can encourage people to, phone a friend, phone an older person, make sure that they're okay, donate blood. Those are things that in terms of the gamification side, all become super relevant. For a player, it's like almost like I can now start talking about the things that are important that aren't sports. What am I doing in the community? How am I helping? What is my foundation doing? And we start learning about that in a way that you can't do in a video. Yeah,
that is great. I love how there's always kind of the accessible social media influencer component, but for you, it's all about community and purpose, and there's real kind of gamifying and rewarding positive actions, like incentivizing positive actions is a very important piece of this puzzle as well. Awesome. So last couple moments, more questions coming in here. So who takes the lead in developing the actual content and application-specific development? Is this MyXR or your customer? Do you need to do more than just license the platform? And if so, is this a limitation on the ability to scale the business? Good question.
Not a limitation on the scalability to the business. That's, in fact, we've proven that. That was probably one of our biggest hurdles in 2018. That's an incredible question, because we're not an agency, we're a software company. That said, it's in our best interest to make sure that our partners are getting the maximum amount of the software that we create. So we handhold and help create some inspiration and give them some ideas at the beginning, but we're not creating it for them. And in fact, the platforms are designed to self-administer so that they don't need their IT department to update them. They can actually do it from their marketing staff and their strategic staff as opposed to their technical staff. So that's a great question. We don't want to handhold everybody as we're going them through millions of users.
No, that is really a good question. So I'm glad that we covered that. When we talk about kind of engagement, gamification, rewards, obviously the existing product, the pre-acquisition product, had some data already. Can you talk about kind of what the data said the solution was doing in terms of increased usage or monetization or time spent? Can you talk about a little bit of those metrics?
Well, so here's why we bought it. It was rewarding people for their time. And when we thought about how a software could be used in terms of scale, they've been already successful in terms of deploying and getting people to download, millions of apps. They've used it to get people into real life casinos. They were able to do all of these things, but what was most important was they rewarded people for their time. So when we bought it, that game of the engagement, the increased, trips to the casino, the increased monetization, the increase in, app downloads, that was all great. But what it was doing was, at its core, the software was rewarding people for their time. That we can use anywhere. It wasn't about casinos. It wasn't about, because in some cases, this isn't even about monetization. In some cases, this is literally about awareness. This is about involvement, getting somebody to volunteer, somebody to do with, like, the ability to scale and have the network grow on its own, inviting other people, getting rewarded for that, completing tasks, getting people involved and having them rewarded for their time was the most important thing that we saw as a global scalable product. It's not just a reward platform. It's an engagement and feel good platform wherever you are.
No, that's really, really important. And some of the data that I'm seeing from the offering page is, greater than 35% increase in time spent.
Yes.
Through the MyXR Engage before acquisition. But
it's significant. It's significant. And when you see it in action, that's the beauty, is that when you see it in action, people are literally, okay, what can I do now? What can I do now? These people take care of me. They take care of my, you see this user reaction, and we've been doing demos, of the 2.0 version, quietly behind the scenes, whatever. People are like, wait a second. Oh, wait. Okay. Now, we're doing demos and people want to do more. Can I get more points? Can I be more involved? It's funny, because that growth of engagement is everything. And it's even more relevant today.
That's important. Let's talk about the transition in traditional marketing and advertising for a moment, because we're hearing a lot of people say the attention economy now. You're hearing people refer to attention as this resource that is vied after. And of course, it's been vied after from billboards to commercials to infomercials. It's always been trying to get attention. And so the idea of being able to increase attention and engagement through this software is important. So what do you think the future of the attention economy looks like? Obviously you're going mobile directly into people's pockets and hands. where do you think that the future of this attention economy, what do you want to share with the listeners about that?
Well, I think what's interesting is people have had to look at their own, literally their own platforms. And how do when you see these retailers move their platforms internally, how do we create culture within our own brand where they have followers? I think it's important for people to have the ability to have engagement across platforms, but to do it through the things that they love. And that's where we become this perfect tool. And this is why COVID, look, we had a great business, like a business plan, had all these partnerships. COVID, in just by its very nature, changed the way that people operate. And it was one of the reasons why, so MyXR Engage was done originally in an iOS and Android app. We added the web version because we knew people were going to be accessing it on multiple types of devices. We want to make sure that that new dynamic is all adapted so that we can be responsive to those partners that want to reach their audience. That wasn't the best answer for you, but that's something for you.
No, that makes sense. And actually it helps me think about the other side of the puzzle too. And so that's on the engage part, the gamification, the rewards. In terms of the augmented reality, there's an important COVID implication there as well. So, during the time of COVID, which is obviously lingering and ongoing, experiences still matter, especially for different demographics. We are, Gen X, Gen Y, we are experiential beings, right? And so how do you think changes are, and how do you think augmented reality helps cater to that? So, for example, I know somebody was talking about that there's a data point out there that when people use augmented reality to try on clothing, their conversion rate explodes. No kidding. It's like you're in the store and you put it on and you look so good, you can't leave it there.
Right.
Talk to us about how you think augmented reality in the time of COVID is going to continue to grow even after COVID, hopefully, is all long gone.
So I think there's two answers, because we don't think about things just digitally. So I think there are two ways that it happens. One is the digital experience gets more robust. We bring people to the physical location. People love going to a physical place, even if it's digitally. and that's, we want to, that's something that we can do. And we're working with actually different retailers and different designers and partners, whatever, to bring the retail experience home. But the other thing is, how do we engage with people at the location? With our new partners in AI and using AR and all of this engagement, we can also bring people in a social distance way to the physical location and have a better experience there that is more robust. So you bring different products into the market. You may see one flagship product, but you bring other products to the table. Your salespeople are then helping out in ways that you never knew that they could help out. So we're creating this blend between the physical and digital experience at home or things, so that way, whether COVID or not, this is our new way. And this is the way that this is all playing out. And so we've been working on this for over a year, and we'll start to see that deployed. We're pretty excited about deploying that this year.
Yeah, no, it's exciting time on the MyXR front. So, we're getting towards the end of our programming. I didn't tell you this, Hanss, but I am a traditionalist. I'm old school. I love ending with closing remarks. So in a moment, you're going to have a chance to say why the listeners should go directly to Netcapital right now and invest. But before you do that, I gave you a little sneak peek. Before you do that, I'm going to do one more housekeeping item. And that, of course, is the reminder that this has been recorded. I will upload this to the Netcapital YouTube account. You can please go ahead and review anything that you missed, or oh shoot, I copy pasted that poorly. Sorry, that is not what I was trying to copy paste. I will copy and paste the YouTube link. Let's try that again. That is not going well. I'll try that one more time with a different copy paste. There we go. We can ignore We can ignore that last one. In fact, I wonder if I can even delete it. I cannot. Okay, so we'll leave that right there, but you do have the link. You have the link to some of my notes, as well as links to the Netcapital YouTube account where you can view the video and see anything that you might have missed. And of course, please do share that generally. So you can go directly to Netcapital Invest, and you can also review this material. That being said, Hanss, why don't you come on in here and bring us home? Why is now the time to go to Netcapital and invest?
I can tell you from my perspective that this is, and I'm an investor, the whole executive team is our investors. We have incredible partners already in on Netcapital that have literally all, like many of them are already becoming customers. We have this incredible outside investment opportunity and a pipeline and a strategy that is all about execution. This isn't our first, it's not neither our first rodeo, nor do we start yesterday on this company. This is, you're getting the advantage of the technology, the learnings, the team, everything from years of work, all coming to a moment where this is an incredible opportunity at a value that's appropriate. We're excited to have everybody be a part of this. And this would be the time I would tell my friends, and I have, to come on board. And so this is a great time to be a part of our journey. And we have a lot of exciting things ahead, a lot.
Perfect way to bring it home. So again, thank you so much for everybody for coming. Thank you for our attendees. Thank you for those very thoughtful questions and keeping it engaging. I do appreciate that as always. We also want to thank Hanss for coming on, sharing with us about MyXR and the whole team behind you. I know there's countless people behind the scenes that are doing a ton of work, and you always give them credit for that. So I want to thank them as well. And that concludes our scheduled program. So thank you everybody for coming.
Thank you.
All right, bye now.